When undertaking significant remodeling projects, especially kitchen remodels that involve gutting the space, encountering old wiring is a common challenge. This often includes greenfield or rigid conduit feeding old pancake boxes, which the general contractor or GC typically prefers not to have exposed in the finished project. Consequently, a common solution is to remove all the old wiring, install new circuits, and bring the kitchen fully up to current electrical codes. However, a frequent complication arises when the old conduit contains wiring that serves other areas of the house and the pancake boxes are used as junction boxes. Removing the old wiring can inadvertently disrupt power to other parts of the house, such as porch lights, basement lights, bathrooms, or dining rooms. To address these potential issues effectively, it's crucial to incorporate specific provisions into your contracts with GC. Firstly, explicitly state the contractor's responsibility regarding old wiring. Include a clause that clearly outlines the contractor's obligation to remove and replace old wiring that interferes with the remodel. This sets a clear expectation from the outset. Secondly, acknowledge that unforeseen issues with old wiring may arise during the remodel. It's important to allow for these unforeseen circumstances. Include a clause stating that the contractor will notify the GC of any such issues and work together to find a solution. This fosters a collaborative approach to problem solving. Thirdly, specify how potential costs associated with addressing unforeseen wiring issues will be handled. Indicate that the cost of additional work or materials required to address unforeseen wiring issues may be shared between the contractor and the GC, or it may be the sole responsibility of the GC. This clarifies the financial responsibilities involved. Fourthly, limit the contractor's liability for damages resulting from power outages or other issues caused by the removal of old wiring, provided that the contractor has followed the contract provisions and industry standards. This protects the contractor from undue financial burden. Here's an example of a contractual clause that incorporates these elements. The contractor shall remove and replace whole old wiring that interferes with the remodel. In the event that the removal of old wiring results in unforeseen issues or power outages in other parts of the house, the contractor shall notify the GC and work together to find a solution. The cost of additional work or materials required to address such issues may be shared between the contractor and the GC, or it may be the sole responsibility of the GC. In addition to these contractual provisions, there are several additional considerations to keep in mind. Firstly, document the condition of the old wiring before removing it. Take photographs or videos of the old wiring before removing it to provide evidence of its condition. This can be helpful in resolving any disputes that may arise later. Secondly, maintain open and regular communication with the GC throughout the project. Keep the GC informed of any issues that arise during the removal of old wiring and discuss potential solutions. This ensures that everyone is on the same page and can work together effectively. Thirdly, approach any concerns raised by the GC in a timely and respectful manner. Remember that maintaining a good relationship is crucial for future business opportunities. By incorporating these contract provisions and following these additional considerations, you can effectively manage the challenges associated with old wiring during remodeling projects, protect your interests, and maintain positive working relationships with GC. When dealing with existing electrical systems during a remodel, it's crucial to understand the potential for unexpected issues and to have a plan for addressing them. Here's a breakdown of key considerations and best practices. Before starting any demolition, thoroughly assess the existing electrical system. Look for any signs of damage, such as frayed wires, cracked insulation, or corroded connections. Pay close attention to the wiring methods used, as older homes may have outdated or unsafe wiring, such as knob and tube wiring. Identify any circuits that are serving multiple areas of the house, as these will need to be carefully rerouted or replaced. Document everything you find, including taking photos and videos, to provide a clear record of the existing conditions. Once you've assessed the existing electrical system, develop a plan for how you'll handle the old wiring. This plan should include the following steps. Identify all circuits that need to be rerouted or replaced. Determine the best way to reroute or replace these circuits, taking into account the layout of the house and any potential obstacles. Select the appropriate wiring methods and materials for the new circuits, ensuring that they meet current electrical codes and standards. Obtain any necessary permits before starting any electrical work. Disconnect the power to the circuits you'll be working on. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires. Carefully remove the old wiring, taking care not to damage any other parts of the house. Install the new wiring, following all applicable codes and standards. Connect the new wiring to the existing electrical system, ensuring that all connections are secure and properly insulated. Test the new circuits to verify that they are working properly. After completing the electrical work, thoroughly inspect the entire system to ensure that everything is safe and up to code. Pay close attention to the following areas. All wiring connections should be tight and secure. All wires should be properly insulated. All electrical boxes should be properly grounded. All circuits should be properly labeled. All electrical panels should be properly organized and labeled. Document all of the work you've done, including any changes to the electrical system. Keep this documentation in a safe place for future reference. When working with old wiring, it's important to take the following safety precautions. Always disconnect the power to the circuits you'll be working on. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as gloves and eye protection. Never work on electrical systems when you're tired or distracted. If you're not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. In addition to the above, here are some specific considerations for dealing with common types of old wiring. Knob and tube wiring is an outdated and unsafe wiring method that is commonly found in older homes. It consists of single conductor wires that are supported by porcelain knobs and tubes. Knob and tube wiring is not grounded, and it is prone to overheating and fire. If you find knob and tube wiring in a home, it should be replaced with modern wiring. Aluminum wiring was used in some homes in the 1960s and 1970s. Aluminum wiring is more prone to corrosion and overheating than copper wiring. If you find aluminum wiring in a home, it should be inspected by a qualified electrician. In some cases, it may be necessary to replace the aluminum wiring with copper wiring. Cloth-covered wiring was commonly used in homes built before the 1950s. The cloth insulation on this type of wiring can become brittle and cracked over time, which can create a fire hazard. If you find cloth-covered wiring in a home, it should be inspected by a qualified electrician. In some cases, it may be necessary to replace the cloth-covered wiring with modern wiring. When dealing with old wiring, it's important to communicate effectively with the homeowner and any other contractors involved in the project. Be sure to explain the potential risks associated with the old wiring and the steps you're taking to address them. Keep everyone informed of your progress and any unexpected issues that arise. By following these guidelines, you can safely and effectively handle old wiring during remodeling projects and ensure that the electrical system is up to code and safe for the occupants of the home. Remember to consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about working with electricity. Now let's delve deeper into specific scenarios you might encounter during a kitchen remodel and how to address them. Consider a situation where you've removed the old greenfield conduit and discovered that it feeds circuits to various locations outside the kitchen, including a porch light receptacle, a basement stairway light, a basement bathroom, an upstairs light, basement overhead lights, and a dining room light. In this case, you'll need to carefully plan how to reroute these circuits without disrupting power to these other areas. Firstly, identify the source of each circuit. Trace the wiring back to the electrical panel to determine which breaker controls each circuit. This will help you understand the overall electrical layout and plan your rerouting strategy. Secondly, determine the new routing paths for each circuit. Consider the most direct and accessible routes, while also ensuring that the wiring is protected from damage and meets all applicable codes. You may need to install new conduit or cable trays to support the wiring. Thirdly, select the appropriate wiring methods and materials for the new circuits. Use appropriately sized conductors and insulation for the amperage of each circuit. Consider using arc fault circuit interrupters, RF size, and ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, to provide additional protection against electrical hazards. Fourthly, disconnect the power to each circuit before starting any work. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires. Carefully remove the old wiring, taking care not to damage any other parts of the house. Fifthly, install the new wiring, following all applicable codes and standards. Secure the wiring to the conduit or cable trays using appropriate fasteners. Make sure all connections are tight and properly insulated. Sixthly, connect the new wiring to the existing electrical system. Ensure that all connections are made in approved electrical boxes. Properly ground all electrical boxes and equipment. Seventhly, test each circuit to verify that it is working properly. Use a multimeter to check the voltage and current on each circuit. Verify that all lights and receptacles are functioning as expected. Throughout this process, maintain clear communication with the GC and the homeowner. Explain the steps you're taking and the reasons for them. Address any concerns they may have in a timely and professional manner. By following these steps, you can successfully reroute old wiring during a kitchen remodel and ensure that all circuits are functioning safely and reliably. Now, let's discuss some specific code requirements that you should be aware of when working with electrical systems during a remodel. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, is a comprehensive set of standards for electrical installations in the United States. It is updated every 3 years, and it is important to be familiar with the latest version of the code. Here are some key NEC requirements that are relevant to remodeling projects. Article 210 covers branch circuits, which are the circuits that supply power to lights, receptacles, and appliances. It specifies the minimum size of conductors, the maximum number of outlets allowed on a circuit, and the requirements for GFCI protection. Article 220 covers branch circuit, feeder, and service calculations. It provides methods for calculating the load on an electrical system, which is necessary to determine the appropriate size of conductors and overcurrent protection devices. Article 250 covers grounding and bonding. It specifies the requirements for grounding electrical systems to protect against electrical shock. Article 300 covers wiring methods. It specifies the approved methods for installing electrical wiring, including the types of cables and conduits that are permitted. Article 310 covers conductors for general wiring. It provides information on the ampacity, or current carrying capacity, of conductors, as well as the requirements for insulation and protection. Article 404 covers switches. It specifies the requirements for installing switches, including the height above the floor and the type of switch required for different applications. Article 406 covers receptacles. It specifies the requirements for installing receptacles, including the height above the floor and the type of receptacle required for different applications. Article 547 covers agricultural buildings. It specifies the requirements for electrical installations in agricultural buildings, which often have unique hazards such as dust and moisture. In addition to the NEC, there may be local electrical codes that you need to comply with. Be sure to check with your local building department to determine the specific requirements in your area. Here are some additional considerations for ensuring compliance with electrical codes during a remodel. Obtain all necessary permits before starting any electrical work. This will ensure that your work is inspected by a qualified electrical inspector. Follow all manufacturer's instructions for installing electrical equipment. This will help to ensure that the equipment is installed properly and safely. Use only UL listed or other approved electrical products. These products have been tested and certified to meet safety standards. When in doubt, consult with a qualified electrician. They can help you to ensure that your electrical work is safe and up to code. To provide a more concrete example, let's consider a specific scenario involving the installation of new receptacles in a kitchen remodel. According to NEC section 210.52, receptacles must be installed so that no point along the wall line is more than 24 inches, or 610 millimeters from a receptacle outlet. This means that you need to place receptacles every 4 feet or 1.2 meters along the countertop. In addition, at least two 20-amp small appliance branch circuits must be provided to serve all receptacle outlets. These circuits should serve no other outlets. Receptacles installed within 6 feet or 1.8 meters of a sink must be GFCI protected. This is to protect against electrical shock in wet environment. All receptacle outlets must be tamper resistant, especially if children are present. This is to prevent children from inserting objects into the receptacles. By following these requirements, you can ensure that the new receptacles in your kitchen are safe and up to code. Remember, electrical work can be dangerous if it is not done properly. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. The cost of hiring an electrician is well worth it to ensure the safety of your home and family. Let's further examine the implications of limiting liability in your contracts when dealing with old wiring. A well-drafted liability clause can protect you from bearing the full financial burden of unforeseen issues that arise from the removal of old wiring, particularly when these issues affect other parts of the house. However, it's crucial to understand the scope and limitations of such a clause. Firstly, a liability clause typically limits your responsibility for damages resulting from power outages or other issues caused by the removal of old wiring. However, this limitation usually applies only if you have followed the contract provisions and industry standards. This means that you must have exercised reasonable care in identifying and removing the old wiring, and you must have complied with all applicable codes and regulations. Secondly, a liability clause does not typically protect you from liability for your own negligence. If you are negligent in your work, such as by failing to properly identify and isolate circuits before removing them, you may still be liable for damages caused by your negligence. Thirdly, a liability clause should be carefully drafted to be enforceable under applicable law. Some jurisdictions may have restrictions on the types of liability that can be limited by contract. It's advisable to consult with an attorney to ensure that your liability clause is valid and enforceable. Here's an example of a liability clause that could be included in your contract. The contractor shall not be liable for any damages resulting from power outages or other issues caused by the removal of old wiring, provided that the contractor has followed the contract provisions and industry standards. The contractor's liability for any other damages, including damages caused by the contractor's negligence, shall be limited to the amount of the contract price. This clause limits your liability for damages caused by the removal of old wiring, as long as you have followed the contract and industry standards. However, it also clarifies that you are still liable for damages caused by your own negligence up to the amount of the contract price. It's important to note that a liability clause is not a substitute for insurance. You should still carry adequate insurance coverage to protect yourself from potential liabilities. General liability insurance can cover damages to property or injuries to people caused by your work. Professional liability insurance, also known as errors and omissions insurance, can cover damages caused by your negligence or errors in your work. Workers' compensation insurance can cover injuries to your employees while they are working on a project. By having adequate insurance coverage, you can protect yourself from financial losses in the event of an accident or claim. Now, let's discuss the importance of maintaining open and professional communication with the GC and the homeowner throughout the remodeling project. Effective communication can help to prevent misunderstandings, resolve conflicts, and ensure that the project is completed to everyone's satisfaction. Firstly, keep the GC and the homeowner informed of your progress on a regular basis. Provide updates on the status of the electrical work, any challenges you are encountering, and any changes to the schedule or budget. Secondly, be responsive to any questions or concerns raised by the GC or the homeowner. Address their concerns in a timely and professional manner. Explain the reasons for your decisions and be willing to consider their input. Thirdly, document all communications in writing. Keep a record of all emails, phone calls, and meetings with the GC and the homeowner. This documentation can be helpful in resolving any disputes that may arise later. Fourthly, Be respectful and courteous in all of your communications. Remember that you are working on their home and they are entrusting you with their property. Treat them with the same respect that you would want to be treated. Fifthly, if you encounter any issues that you cannot resolve on your own, escalate them to the appropriate person. This may involve contacting a supervisor, a mediator, or an attorney. By following these guidelines, you can maintain open and professional communication with the GC and the homeowner, which can help to ensure the success of the remodeling project. Consider using project management software or apps to streamline communication and documentation. These tools can help you to track tasks, share files, and communicate with the GC and the homeowner in real time. Some popular project management tools include Asana, Trello, and Basecamp. There are also specialized apps for electrical contractors that can help you to manage your projects more efficiently. These apps can often help you to track your time, expenses, and materials. They can also help you to generate invoices and reports. By using these tools, you can improve your communication, documentation, and overall project management skills. Let's explore the critical aspect of documenting the condition of all wiring before commencing any removal or alteration. This practice serves as a crucial safeguard, protecting you from potential disputes and liabilities that may arise during the course of the remodeling project. When you meticulously document the existing state of the wiring, you create a verifiable record that can be invaluable in resolving disagreements regarding pre-existing damage, code violations, or any other issues that may be discovered during the project. This documentation should encompass several key elements. Firstly, take detailed photographs and videos of the old wiring, capturing its overall condition, any visible damage, and the manner in which it is installed. Pay close attention to areas where the wiring is exposed, such as in attics, basements, and crawl spaces. Secondly, note the type of wiring used, such as knob and tube, cloth-covered, or non-metallic sheathed cable. This information can be helpful in determining the age and condition of the wiring. Thirdly, identify any code violations that are present, such as exposed splices, undersized conductors, or missing ground connections. Fourthly, document the location of all junction boxes, outlets, and switches. This information can be helpful in tracing circuits and identifying potential hazards. Fifthly, create a written report summarizing your findings, including a description of the wiring, any damage or code violations, and the location of all electrical components. This report should be signed and dated by you and the homeowner or GC. In addition to documenting the condition of the wiring, it is also important to document any changes that you make to the electrical system during the project. This includes any new wiring, outlets, switches, or other components that you install. It also includes any modifications to the existing wiring, such as rerouting circuits or adding new circuits. This documentation should be kept in a safe place and should be provided to the homeowner or GC at the completion of the project. By meticulously documenting the condition of the old wiring and any changes that you make to the electrical system, you can protect yourself from potential disputes and liabilities. This documentation can serve as valuable evidence in the event of a claim or lawsuit. Remember, electrical work can be dangerous if it is not done properly. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. The cost of hiring an electrician is well worth it to ensure the safety of your home and family. In summary, handling old wiring during remodeling projects requires a proactive and comprehensive approach that includes clearly defined contract provisions, diligent documentation, open communication, and adherence to safety standards and electrical codes. By following these best practices, you can mitigate risks, ensure a smooth project execution, and maintain positive relationships with your clients.